heavily emphasized in the beginning, so that by the time she meets this very warm family, you feel like, oh yes, that's her Christmas wish, and you want her to have her Christmas wish.
You're listening to The Juniper and Elle Show, where two friends chat dramas, movies, and whatever else we're checking out at the moment. Grab a tea or other beverage of choice and come hang out with us as we chat, laugh, and occasionally make sense. Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to our pod. As promised last time, we are going to do a special episode this time on holiday movies because we started this tradition last year. Maybe we'll make it into a tradition because it's only our second year. Last year we did one of my favorite Christmas movies, which was Christmas in Connecticut. This year we decided to do kind of a split choice. Elle chose one and I chose one. So Elle, you chose a classic, meaning it was 30 years ago. In fact, this movie, the first movie we're going to talk about is While You Were Sleeping, which came out in 1995, exactly 30 years ago. And then I, Juniper, am going to talk about one of my holiday favorites, an even older movie from 1947 called It Happened on Fifth Avenue. So old and older. That's the theme of today's holiday movies. And before we get into it, I think it's kind of hard to even say these are truly Christmas movies because I don't think that's the point of the movies at all. They're just that they're Christmas adjacent movies, right?
Yeah.
The setting, the events that occur center around that time of the year. And I think the themes that are undercurrents in some of these storylines are pretty pertinent to the holidays.
Yeah.
So with that said, do we need to do an overview before we jump in on While You're Sleeping?
Yeah, just in case. They're kind of old.
Yes, it's older than some people who probably are listening. So let me see if I can find a good summary. Let's see. Okay, so While You Were Sleeping, as I said before, it was released in 1995, and it stars Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman. And overall, for the story synopsis, it's about a lonely transit toll booth worker in Chicago, who is played by Sandra Bullock, who accidentally gets mistaken as handsome commuter Peter Gallagher's fiancée when she saves his life and is embraced by his family while he is in a coma from his accident. She has had a crush on him for a long time, but life takes a turn and she finds love with his brother Jack, who is played by Bill Pullman instead. Okay, so let's dive right in because it's your choice. You go ahead. It's a rewatch for both of us, right? We both watched it originally when it came out. It's been a long time for me since that initial watch. And I don't know if you watched it in between, but latest rewatch, anything hit different? Anything got reinforced?
You know, it's funny. Like, so I probably watched it a little bit more frequently. Shortly after it came out, I had the DVD.
Oh, so you loved it. You have the DVD.
I have the DVD. I actually hadn't watched it in well over a decade, so like a lot of the details I had forgotten about, and I didn't realize in rewatching how they never had lots of spoilers, right? They never really had a date. Like it was just more they just popped into each other's sort of sphere or bumping into each other, or there were a lot of misunderstandings in the beginning. But I would say the feeling for me was still the same. I still really very much enjoyed the chemistry. I think the way they set up the script. Oh, so I did read that the initial script was apparently terrible, like so terrible. Bill Pullman didn't even want to be in the movie, and then they had brought on the final director, and he polished up the script. So, and he allowed the actors to sort of using like improvising and basing on what they think their characters, how they would react to certain things. So I read that was a thing because originally the story is like, I think the actress was supposed to be in the coma, and then they flipped it so one of the brothers is in the coma. So when I'm watching this, I would say I thought that the lead. So Bill Pullman to me is not like a romantic leaning man. I don't think he's known for rom-com. But I think here he just does it really well. I think the way they film him when he looks at her, when he realizes he has a crush on her, like all those little things. Like when I watch it, and Sandra Bullock, the way they filmed her, I mean, they made her so pretty, and the camera just loves her. And so when you're watching this, I think, and for me, the feelings of sort of this normal couple who are not supposed to fall in love because everyone thinks she's the fiance to the other brother. I felt like it was much it was very natural to me when I'm watching it. It's just two people who realize they like each other, but then they're like, oh, we can't cross any, taboo boundaries or whatever. I liked it a lot. And it's not a Christmas film, but there's a lot of Christmassy things in it. And the fact that she's just a lonely woman during the holidays, and it's heavily emphasized in the beginning, so that by the time she meets this very warm family, you feel like, oh yes, that's her Christmas wish, and you want her to have her Christmas wish.
All right. So let me tack on my thoughts. So obviously, I haven't rewatched this probably since the initial watch. I might have watched it once or twice afterwards when it was on TV or something. So for me, I think I remember very little about this movie. And then when I rewatched it, I'm like, well, no wonder I don't remember much because there's not that much memorable for me here. That's how I feel about this movie. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a very pleasant and charming movie. A typical rom-com of its times. I think the leads are really, really, really cute and likable. And I think their charm carries the film. That's the reason, like you said, you will watch it. I don't care if people think Bill Pullman is not that type of leading man material. I think he's really suitable for the role. And, I do like Sandra Bullock. I just think that I didn't understand where the romance actually came from. You said you like the fact that it felt like a natural couple falling in love. And I was like, what? When was that? Right? Like, when did that happen in the movie?
I actually think the moment he saw her at his parents' house, when he was sitting on the stairs and she was trying to sneak out, I think that was the moment he thought, wow, she's really pretty. Because when he first kind of met her, where the sister was with him, Sandra Bullock was laying on a couch and her back was to him, so he didn't see her face. So I think when he saw her, I feel when even when I rewatched it, I was like, I think that's the moment he's like, oh, she's so pretty. Like, wow, I can't believe she's dating my brother. Because apparently he never looked very highly upon his brother's girlfriends or ex-girlfriends.
Well, we know why, but. Yeah. But my point is, I don't doubt that they're two young, attractive, lonely individuals who probably could complement each other and would at least go out on a few dates and have a relationship. But to go from that to what the story needs it to be, which is more of like, this is the one for me and the one I need to be with for the rest of my life, is a little bit of a stretch for me. I feel like, I think I told you offline, like, I feel like the movie is missing 15 minutes. It needed 15 minutes to develop the story, and it has that time. It just didn't afford it. Like, it spent so much random time on other stuff, and you're just like, why? Like, moving furniture around and goofy family stuff. And don't get me wrong, I find that if the movie had no family, it would lose half of its charm too.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Because to your point, it's really about the love story of found family. She's very lonely. Yes. And it's great that she has this warm hug, figuratively and literally from the family of the man that she saved. So she's really loath to get out of it. So, but I didn't buy the romance as much, because it didn't, to me, the film did not give it enough time to grow.
Yeah.
And then it was immediately the end and marriage proposal. You're like, what? Like, I would have been more accepting if the film ends on, let's be together as a couple, not let's get married.
Right. Yeah, I didn't understand. I would agree with you that I didn't feel like there was any urgency to get married, right? Because that kind of happened with the brother who was in the coma. When Peter wakes up, he's like, "Oh, I don't remember proposing to you, but I'll propose to you again." And then she goes, "Yes," and they're gonna marry in the little chapel at the hospital. I'm like, really? Is it? It's not like he's dying. He doesn't have
right.
He doesn't. It's not like he has 2 weeks left to live, and you need to do this right now. Like, why? Why the urgency? So yes, I think that's a script writing problem. But I know what you mean.
I think that's kind of has a whiff of desperation in it because of the way it was conveyed in that. Like you said, the rush to lock everything down, right? Like, let's cinch the
Yes.
deal. And it was from both ends. The family wanted it and she wanted it, even though she felt really awful about not telling the truth, right? So I have a few issues with the fact that she's kind of an avoidant character. Even though she wants to tell the truth, she won't do it, right? She just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
lets someone else do that for her, and that someone else is not going to do it for her, even though they say they will. And then
Mm-hmm.
the family wants to cinch her as like this great daughter-in-law, which I'm like, this is
Yeah.
all the wrong reasons to get married. So, anyways, although I did like the chapel wedding, I thought that was the highlight of the film, to be honest. Because Peter's awake. I felt bad for Peter Gallagher, the actor, because I was like, oh, he has to play like coma for half the movie lying there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but when he finally wakes up, he's actually the funniest character in my mind. He's actually the part of the charm of this film is his befuddlement at everything.
Right.
And
Well,
and
because I think in the beginning when you see how they build it up, right? He's big in her mind. He looms over her, right? Because she sees him every day at her work when he, comes into the turnstile. So I think by the time he wakes up, you're like, oh, he's not how she imagined him.
right,
He's a lot goofier. He's
he's missing a testicle.
right, and then he apparently like hit some squirrels out of a tree and pretended to save them. So he's not Mr. Perfect, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And then you realize like, okay, all that she imagined him to be is probably not what she really needs either.
Yeah. So I would say that my general impression of the movie was there are a lot of charming bits and pieces, and it does stretch for a lot of things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's not very well. There's no cohesion. It could have been more cohesive and well thought out. And it would have been like a more A- movie in my mind. Right now, it's like a B-. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's B-, like I said, there's nothing memorable about the movie where I take away. If you ask me today, like what's the most best part of the movie, other than the chapel thing, I can't even tell you what was best about it, but I remember it, right? I'm like, why are they getting married in the hospital? Right? He's in with his like IV drip, and she just runs in from like the subway, forgets to take off her coat. That's the most memorable thing. Oh, and her cat's memorable because it's a very pretty cat. But side tangent, what's it about these 90s comedies where like, pretty girl has to be lonely and has to be cat lady? Like, what are they trying to say? What do they have against cat ladies who are too pretty? Huh? Anyways, so my mind did wander while I was watching this movie. And as I started wondering, I actually started authoring a whole different like C-drama in my head. I'm like, oh, this story would be much more fun if they just went down melodrama path. Can you imagine, falling for the wife of your comatose brother? You can't have each other, and you're pining, and it would break up the family if it happened. Blah blah. I'm like, oh, that would have been a much more fun movie. But I digress.
So I read a blog where someone said they were thankful it didn't go down that path, where they could have been like lovers, like secretly dating behind the family's back, and it would have been a different movie. And I think the principles of it would have been different, right? I think here they kept it very, very old fashioned, very, very almost very chaste, and very like family first mentality versus like if there was a true passion where you just kind of throw everything out the window and you just go for it, right? You don't have that here. Here it's very like the longing, the earnestness. It's a little bit Jane Austen-ish in a way where you're like, oh, we have to follow the rules. I mean, they're not real rules, but for a 1990s film, it was probably very, very chaste, because I feel like at that time there were a lot of like sexy, salacious things happening in Hollywood, and it's not like they're afraid to film that. So yes, I think here it's almost for a younger crowd of what like, oh, this kind of adult romance could be at a very chaste level.
Well, Hollywood Pictures, which no longer exists, was an imprint of Disney. So maybe that's why.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, they did make adult movies, but I think 90s rom-coms weren't that naive. I mean, they still are. Rom-coms as a genre are meant to be kind of PG-13 and harmless, mostly harmless. This was, I don't think the mostly harmless aspect is what makes me go, oh, it could have been much better. It's more just the execution of the story and the
I can see
not
that.
enough due time given to the main leads. Because I do like both actors a lot and I find them very charming. And speaking of actors, we had read some trivia about who else was in contention for the leads or had auditioned.
Mhm.
And there were some very interesting names out there. Any stood out to you as in, I would have liked to see that movie, or my God, thank God they didn't cast this person because it would have tanked the movie.
I read I read 3 names. I read Meg Ryan was the first one. But that was when the script was when Lucy was still in a coma. So they said Meg Ryan her people turned it down, like, she's gonna be like laying in bed for half the film. So then they flipped the script, and then I read they offered it to Julia Roberts and Demi Moore. And I think Sandra Bullock has said, like, for every day she's thankful Demi Moore turned it down because I think that's when she got the role. Um, I I don't know how old they were at that time because Sandra Bullock was like late 20s or something when she filmed this, and I felt like for this type of storyline, you want someone who's sort of still in their 20s trying to figure out their life, because the reason she's also in this situation is because she had moved there because her father was sick, and
She's
so
an orphan, basically.
yeah, but she was really there to like help him near the end of his life. And then once he passed, she didn't know what to do with her life, right? It seemed like her life was never something she had any plans for. She was just kind of going along with whatever her father had planned for them. So I feel like I think maybe Meg Ryan would have been good, although Meg Ryan probably would have been older to play the role. I mean, I'm thinking of Demi Moore today, but like I would have felt she's too glamorous or too. She's actually not that soft a person for me to think Demi Moore could play like this type of, I don't know, not like what you said. I don't think she's what's the word I'm thinking of? Like she's not like I can't think of the word I'm trying to say.
I think it's okay. Like, I get it. You're saying that she doesn't suit the character in your mind as you now see it based on the story that was delivered. And I agree with you. Like, when I saw the names Julia Roberts, Demi Moore, and I think with Demi Moore, they were attaching Patrick Swayze because, of Ghost, right? It would have been a very different movie. I saw that Matthew McConaughey had tested for the role, but he wasn't famous yet. And even Russell Crowe's name was at some point attached. There's a pairing of Harrison Ford and Gina Davis, which would have been very older. Even back then, they were older. Nicole Kidman apparently auditioned. I don't know how much this is true, by the way, but these are names that were, passed around online for you to do. Other names that were attached on the male side were James Spader. I actually really like James Spader, but I think he was too cynical for this role. But he would have taken, I think is it Jack, right? Jack's character in a different direction. Although I was telling you, Bill Pullman actually has played his fair share of psychopaths. And he does them very well. So maybe James Spader would have been good. He certainly was a heartthrob in the 80s and 90s, early 90s type of movies, right?
Yeah, he was really handsome.
Dylan McDermott, Pierce Brosnan, Dennis Quaid were all considered according to online trivia. The director had considered, I think, Jamie Gertz for Lucy. Now, I don't know if you know who Jamie Gertz is. I remember her.
No.
And I think she actually would have been fine. She's actually somewhat like Sandra Bullock in some ways, but she's more of like what you would consider a TV actress in my mind. The caliber of screen presence, and it could be because she just wasn't afforded the type of exposure, right? So she remained that way. Versus Sandra Bullock, who hit it big. So I'm okay with the way it is. I don't need to change anything. I can't envision any of these other people. Maybe James Spader, maybe Matthew McConaughey. And but not with Sandra Bullock. Yeah. So that's it.
No, I like the leads in this a lot. I wouldn't change the leads. I do think the script could be stronger. I do think like even the girlfriend, like Peter's real life girlfriend who came back, it was like it was a little too zany, right? Like she was such a stereotypical like waspy type character. So yeah, but I think if I focus on just the main leads, I still think they're very cute. I would rewatch this. I thought actually the neighbor, the landlord's son, Joe Jr., like he had too much screen time. I didn't think that was necessary.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a very tight movie or script. It just went everywhere and tried to reach for everything versus focusing on telling 2 or 3 things really well, especially building up the actual romance. In a rom-com, It's not really about the romance, but it's an important element, don't you think? Like, you have to care about that.
Yeah, I think here the way they express romance is him actually listening to her and remembering, like, her dreams and desires, right? Like her saying she wanted to go to Florence, and then he gifted her the little snow globe.
But you realize everything is on his end. Where's her part of it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's interesting.
He loves her, I have no doubt. They show his crush slowly building, and he feels really bad about it. You can tell, like it's his brother's woman.
Yeah.
But I was like, when did she fall for him? Because he gave her rides. Because he was suspicious of her, but then he stopped being suspicious. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying.
That's interesting. Interesting.
It's a lonely cry for help, and she went for the first man that liked her. It could. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but you could argue that, right? So, anyways.
Yeah, I need to rewatch because there is a scene where she tells her boss, like, I liked her interactions with her boss. By the way, he had some funny lines, but when she tells her, "I like Jack," and he's like, "Who's Jack?" Because he couldn't follow the story, but the fact, I think I need to rewatch and see what happened before she told her boss, because I think that's when she was like, "Oh, I have feelings," because I think the only thing I will give her is that she is very clear that a crush on Peter was not
realistic.
Real. Like, it's not like she thought, because I crushed on him and I saved him, here's my end to get him or to date him. Like, she never thought that way. She wasn't like, because she realizes she doesn't know the guy. Like, they never spoke to each other. So anyways, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's what's missing for me is like, it's not a mutual, like, I see why they both like each other to that degree. That's all. Now I'm glad that you got what I meant at the end, because I guess I wasn't clear. Because everything you said was like, well, he likes her because of this. I'm like, I understand he likes her.
You brought up an interesting point.
So, anyways, second movie, Juniper's Choice. So it happened on Fifth Avenue, 1947 movie. It's almost as old as me and you combined. Okay, not yet. But it's definitely older than me and my two cats combined age-wise. In my book, it's a great movie. And I happened upon it by accident. Because as you know, I used to watch a lot of old movies. And I still do when I turn on Turner Classic Movies. And I have happened upon it one of those Christmases when TCM does this holiday movie runs, right? And I said, okay, I'll give it a try. Never heard of it. I was so pleasantly surprised, I went and bought the DVD. So there. If DVD ownership is a hallmark of whether you like a film, I guess I love it. Just like, you owning while you were sleeping.
Yeah.
The movie stars really lesser known, I think, by today's standards actors, right? A lot of them are older. A lot of our character actors, some are more like B-list, I think, even for that time. So I won't list who they are. You can look them up. But the story is really about a homeless man named Aloysius McKeever, who squats at the mansion of a wealthy magnate. In the story, he's the second richest man in the world, Michael J. O'Connor. He squats at his mansions whenever they're not being used by Michael J. O'Connor during the seasons. Right? So this means he's at his New York City mansion during the winter and the one down south during the spring each year. In the story, this winter, Aloysius shares his secret living arrangement with other down on their luck people during a housing shortage. The most notable of them being a ex-GI named Jim Bullock, whose apartment was demolished to make way for a high-rise being built by Michael J. O'Connor's company. The rich man's daughter, Trudy, accidentally happens upon the group that's living in her dad's mansion and ends up living with them under pretense, so they don't know who she is. Eventually, the rich man himself is roped into pretending to be a homeless person and becomes a so-called member of the squatter squad in his own home. So then charming hilarity sparks, right, or ensues. And I think, to me, heartwarming bonds are formed and very warm sentiments are kindled or rekindled. That's all I say, but I know I said a lot. That's the story. It's a holiday movie in the sense that, again, all this is in winter, and it happens over, I think, the month of December, basically. November to December.
Yes.
So I watched this many times. This is probably my fifth or sixth rewatch. You're a first-time watcher.
Yeah, it's my first time.
What did you think? I know you're not a lover of old movies like I am.
I don't dislike them. Okay, so I think when I started watching it, so I know I don't like to read synopsis, as you know. So I was like, okay, I will say the first thing that I thought was like, oh, housing crisis. Like everyone can relate
Yes.
today. Like,
Nothing has changed in New York in some ways, right?
right? Yeah, because this is like a 70-year-old movie. But um, I was at first I was confused. I think because I'm like, okay, there's these two guys, and now they're living. The bumming off of this rich man's house, and I like that they did not really paint the rich guy as a jerk, even though I think they thought he was a jerk because of he can't even hold on to his wife. Like the rumors, that they all heard about, but then no one knows what he looks like because he's a very private man. And then I think I started to feel a little bit uncomfortable though when the daughter showed up, and I'm like, this whole movie is going to be about lies. Like it's actually very similar to Why You're Sleeping, right? It's all about lying and using your lies to kind of justify the means. And I'm like, so I was a little hesitant when that started happening because not everyone's just lying to each other. But I think when they finally introduced her parents, the rich couple, I think they're the sort of the heart of the story, and they are they are more like laid back and normal than actually anybody else in the whole film. I think they are just a couple that kind of lost their ways when the family started to accrue wealth, and then the daughter, right, is also fragmented because they sent her away for, I guess, like their version of boarding school. So, um, when you see that, it's like basically the family coming back together, and then it's like these squatters. The squatters are the reason they're brought back together to become a united family unit again. I was like, okay, I actually enjoyed that very much. I thought that was, regardless if you're rich or poor, I think it's a sensibility of family. Like we need family, if they're good to each other, right? It's not like if you have terrible family members, you would cut them off. But like these are not terrible people; they're just misguided or lost in sort of something else, and now they have reason to sort of communicate again and tell each other how they feel and be together again. So I like that aspect of it very much. I thought that was actually the biggest sort of holiday or Christmas message coming out of the film.
And it's not just real family, like blood relations. It's about the found family, just like in While You Were
Yes.
Sleeping, right? Like it's
Yes.
about the people who love you, care for you, you feel you belong with, and have something to celebrate with. So yes, I love that aspect. I would say this movie. I think I told you this before we were talking offline. It did more with more themes by providing them less time than While You Were Sleeping did with fewer topics of focus
Yes.
in the same
Mm-hmm.
amount of time. So there's a deftness in the script here, the writing, right? And the direction and the acting that made it all work. Like each little theme, there's so many themes. And like I found myself on this last rewatch still running through a gamut of emotions. I know you're like, really? You got emotional watching this movie? I had no emotions watching While You Were Sleeping, okay? Like my mind wandered, I told you. Other than, hey, this is kind of pleasant, but okay, whatever. While watching this, yeah, I'm like giggles at the beginning because it's so hilarious. Like I find the beginning really funny with the mistaken identities and there's a lot of sardonic comebacks and exchanges in the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love the part where she's like, my daddy beats all of us every night. He's a lazy drunk bastard or something like that. And he's like, your daddy he beats you every night, all 14 of you. And he's like, your daddy
He's
ain't
not
lazy.
yeah.
like, um, like it's all said with a straight face, right? But like a
Yes.
smirk.
Yes.
Like in the middle, I'm smirking at the deception and irony of some of the situations that Michael J. O'Connor finds himself in. Like he's like trying to smoke his own cigars, and Aloysius is like, "Well, you don't deserve. You haven't earned this, right? Like, what? You're just trying to like." steal this rich man's stuff, like you haven't earned this. And then the latter half had I would say more of the modeling, but in a warm way, modeling emotional feels in me, like the romantic lovingness of the middle-aged couple reconciling,
Mm-hmm.
right? You mentioned even the young couple. You would think this movie should center around the young couple. It's actually, like you said, about the older parents. But they disguise it with some of the youth too. And I think they're fine too. I know you have some issues with that. I love the hilarious restaurant scene.
Yeah. No, I thought
like,
that was funny. Mm-hmm.
they're having an argument. Well, first they were having a romantic moment, and then it like quickly devolves into argument, and then there's like issues with the table and the sugar and so and then I thought the ending when they were all saying their goodbyes, with most
Yes.
of them not none the wiser about who's who. I thought that was very touching and kind of poignant and also sad, really, because these people are leaving each other in their minds knowing they'll never see each other again. It's not the day of cell
Right.
phones and texting or email.
Yeah.
There's no way to keep in touch, right? Like you found a great family, you have some stolen moments of happiness, and then now you must disband until
Right.
fate brings you together. I do love the
Mm-hmm.
last line when Michael J. O'Connor's like, remind me to board up that thing, the loose board in his fence. Because that's how the
Mm-hmm.
homeless man comes in every year to his mansion. He's like, next year he's coming through the front door. I thought that was very touching. Like, because you think he's going to be like this stingy rich man through and through to the end and not let the guy come into his house again. But he's really saying he deserves better, right? He
Yeah.
deserves more respect than that.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah. That was beautifully done, I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, so you alluded to the young couple, the actor. Yeah, so they start off where it's like he should be the focus, and then at some point they transition the film away from him. But I was saying that I didn't really feel much watching it, and I didn't feel much romance between him and the daughter. I know that I was supposed to, but I don't know. I just felt
Were
like suddenly
you?
one. I don't know. Like suddenly she's like, he's so great. I mean, like this is the whole reason that the father agreed to go along with his daughter's crazy plan, right? Because she's like, I want you to meet Jim, but he doesn't know I'm an heiress to, your fortune. So he's like, fine. And she's really young in this movie. Her character's supposed to only be 18. So when I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, he's really understanding. Like he just drops everything and still wheeling and dealing in secret, because he wants to do right by his daughter. But then I'm like, I don't know what's so great about Jim. I know he looks out for her, and he showed up, like you said, he showed up at like when she went for her job interview, he was there, and I'm sure there are nice moments. I think it's sort of like when you were saying while you were sleeping, like at what point did they fall in love? I think that's how I felt watching this. Like at what point did I feel like, oh yes, there's a spark. I didn't feel it, but then like I said, the transition from the young couple, and then because she's trying to get sort of her parents' approval with this relationship. I don't even know if she was trying to get approval, but she just wanted her parents to meet him. Then once the parents are introduced into the story, then my focus actually shifted to the parents, and I didn't really think much more about the younger couple. Like to me, they were sort of non sequitur. So
Yeah, so to me, the focus is not about the young romance. It's not even a romance. If anything, romance is on the middle age. So the young couple's romance is there just to set up the scene and I think
yes.
put in motion the whole shenanigans that follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could also even say you can see it from Michael J. O'Connor, right, the father's point of view, which is what's so great about Jim. He even says that, right? Like,
Yeah.
but he's willing to let his daughter do that because he's gonna lose her otherwise, right? It's not the first time he's kind of stopped her, thwarted her will, and she's just like, I can't deal with this, Dad. I'm gonna go live with Mom because his wife left him for that. Well, we don't know for exactly what, but basically like him being a rich man, acting like a rich man with power, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're supposed to take away from that. I didn't over question whether Jim is suitable as romantic, partner for daughter Trudy. I thought they looked good enough. It was clear to me when they fell in love. In fact, while I was watching it, I was like, it's not a grand passion for any reason. But I was like, okay, I can see there's mutual attraction. Two young, pretty things in a house together, very protective of each other. And back in those days, when you get together, it's with the view of marriage. It's not like let's casually, get together, right? At least on the silver screen, it was the moral standard. So to me, I didn't question it as much as while you were sleeping. But I don't see this movie as that at all. It's all about the ensemble and the shenanigans. I really love the comedy, and it's like laugh a minute in certain scenes. Like I don't know if you remember the wool coat thing when he goes and trades in his wool coat. He's like, how much are you going to give me for that wool coat? And the guy's like, you're going to destroy my life because of that wool coat. I'm like, wow.
The little soliloquy was amazing. like this random tailor just started going off, and then I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
I love, I will say I love the writing in this. I think, like you said, with the amount of time allotted, they show a lot of personality through the dialogue and through, their interactions. Even, yeah, like even these side characters that aren't really pertinent, but they build up the world building for you, so you kind of embrace like this version of New York City.
I think it deserves more fame than it has, I think, up till now, because it just works as a movie. Like, it perfectly balances many tones, right? The comedy, irony, there's pathos, if you think about it, and some romance. And I think everyone in the cast pulls weight. I know you disagree about the male lead, but I think they played the part they are given. Like, this is your part. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
Yes,
the court
yes.
jester, you gotta act like the fool. There's a social commentary, but they do it with a deft touch. So originally, trivia, as you and I saw, this movie was supposed to be directed by Frank Capra. He bought the rights to the script. And then it's an original story. It's not based on anything. But he chose to not direct it and, sold it again. He ended up directing It's a Wonderful Life. And I'm so glad he didn't direct this, because I feel like from the Frank Capra movies I've seen, he's too maudlin in a bad way, like heavy-handed with his sentimentality to make this work the way it came across for me. I mean, I could be totally wrong, right? But I'm happy with the end product, with the directors and ensemble cast that we got, okay? I did not
Yeah.
need this to be like a It's Wonderful Life. So, yeah. And did you notice that the skipper from Gilligan's Island is in this?
Wait, which
He was
which
the
character?
friend, the GI friends, one of them, the tall blonde
Oh,
one.
I recognized him, but he was so young that
Yeah.
I couldn't place him. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. No, I was like,
So,
he looks familiar, but I didn't. Yeah, that's funny.
anyways, I love this film. I can rewatch it like anytime it's on. That's how it compares, okay, to some of the other films. That's why I'm like, okay, that's why I own it on DVD.
Yeah, I don't know if I would rewatch it. I thought it was fine. I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
So let's wrap up by kind of do a comparison and contrast of the two movies, right? So they're both holiday adjacent movies, like I said. I think said there's some common emotional themes there about loneliness and isolation, which are very pertinent, as I said at the intro, for holiday times. There are a lot of very sad and lonely people because, the holidays really could bring out the depression in you.
Yes.
The movies make it so like light and fluffy and ooh, everyone's so happy. I'm like, no, everyone's stressed, running around. You're either stressed, running around like chickens with your head cut off, or you got nobody, or you feel
Yeah.
like you got nobody. Right? I'm not saying the reality is you got nobody. So I feel like these two movies, there's that undercurrent of you could be feeling that way down on yourself.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
circumstance and you leveraging the circumstance or opportunity that circumstance affords you lifts these people out of a potentially dire situation in life.
It's about the human connection, I think, right? I mean, like you said, if
yes.
it's loneliness, then the antidote is finding the people who understand or who will pull you out of that loneliness. Yeah, it's funny. When I was watching It Happened on Fifth Avenue, I was like, oh, Jim's last name is Bullock. And then like Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah,
that's
there's
funny.
that connection too, huh? Yeah, and you were saying about the economic realities of New York, even back then, housing shortage. And I was saying that when I was watching, right, while you were sleeping, I'm like, oh, like the economic stuff also struck me as like, whoa, prices, how they have changed or not changed in the 30 years
Yeah.
since. So,
Yeah.
if you're interested, I had said this before, we can do a whole series on old movies that have a theme of housing shortages. It's the what is it? Forced cohabitation trope, right? You think it's only a C-drama thing? No, this is truly forced cohabitation when you can't find a place to live. If you think about this, that's a legit forced cohabitation.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind if you're interested. There are two other longtime favorite movies of mine that I would recommend for that theme. So, would you fix anything about either movie?
I would agree with you that while you're sleeping, like adding some scenes where like maybe post crazy chapel wedding that like she and Sandra and Bill, like Bill Pullman, like they actually have a conversation or something or a date. I don't know. Like, yeah, there was. I mean, I think they were trying to surprise the audience by doing that whole like proposal at the end, but it wasn't really necessary. And honestly, if I didn't love the family so much, I would find it really creepy that they're all like gawking at the when the proposal's happening. You actually have to actually like this family for this to be like not creepy. So I will say I would agree with you on that end, or even like you said, fleshing out like what she liked about him. I think they did kind of allude that she was also paying close attention to his dreams and wishes, right? Like his dream was
Yeah.
to sort of leave the family business and start his own, but he had never told his father, and so I think that was probably like the closest thing where you saw like she was paying attention to his needs, and that was all
Mm-hmm.
that I think that's all you know about him too, right? You never see his home, right? You see her home, you see Peter's home, you never see where he lives, what he's about. So there are elements missing where you're like, who are these people, right? Like, could they actually build a life together? So there is that missing. So I guess that's what I would change about it. And then for It Happened on Fifth Avenue, I usually don't think there's anything I would change. I think overall the entire film is very strong. I do think it's a shame that because the actors, at least in today's eyes, are not no famous, right? So I think it's hard to say, oh, recommend this, but then it's like it's an ensemble piece. So you have to sort of go into that mentality of like, okay, I'm not really watching this for a particular star or celebrity or their acting style. You just have to kind of enjoy the ride a little bit. So, but I wouldn't change Happen on Fifth Avenue. I don't think. Maybe the Jim
The leading
character, but
man.
I didn't have any problem with how he was how the actor acted him out. I think it's more the how the character was
Yeah,
written.
he's a caricature. He's like the stand-in boy interest so that things can be put
Yes.
in motion. I think that's really your gripe. But treat
Yeah.
this as an
Yeah.
ensemble, and it's funny that you said, right, like nobody will watch this necessarily as a fan of certain stars, right? Because it's not like Joan Crawford is in this, but the mother, Anne Harding, was at once in the early 30s very famous. She
Mm.
was famous for being like kind of the star of what they called women's movies, like
Mm-hmm.
movies made for women, kind of like with glamorous, melodramatic, like heroines. But those fell out of favor in the late 30s, so that's when her star waned. So she is a very famous actress, and you can see that even in the way her style of her acting.
Yes. Yes. I was saying to you, like when the parents showed up, I was like, oh, they're good. And like the mom didn't really have that many lines, but I got her. I got
Yeah.
her more than I could get the boyfriend's like character. Well, how about you? What would you change?
I wouldn't change anything about It Happened on Fifth Avenue, other than its fame and regard for it today. For While You Were Sleeping, I already said, right, what you kind of already echoed, which is honestly, that movie without the family and the quirky characters on the sides would be not much there to hold on to. So they need to build up the romance, not just adding a scene after the chapel, but even before leading up to the chapel. Because even in that pivotal moment, she's already supposedly in love with Jack and he with her. I did not get why she is so in love with him. Him liking her, I get, but also is it true, like, I must be with you forever love? I don't know. We haven't had a chance to explore, you know?
Right. Oh, you know what I would change of what
What?
happened on Fifth Avenue? The fact that the daughter never revealed that she's the heiress to the boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the dad like helped him out, so he gave him the land to build his little project, or I think he gave. I don't know if he gifted him the land. I wasn't. It wasn't clear, but then I was like, wait, but she never told him. Like they don't to this day, he doesn't know that's like his future father-in-law. he just thought, oh, you're the rich guy that helped us out.
No, I get that. I was thinking this to myself. Like, he's the second richest man in the world. Like, who would that be in today's terms? And do you really want to see a movie about that? Like, Jeff Bezos and his mansion. Like, I don't want to see that. Elon Musk, Like, if you think about the world's richest men now, you're just like, oh. Okay, so ratings. I'll go ahead. This is kind of off the cuff ratings, right? I would say for While You Were Sleeping, if there was more of a romance built up that was believable for me, I would have given it a higher score than what I ended up with, which is a 7.8.
Mm.
And for it happened on Fifth Avenue, obviously I love the film. I think it's pretty perfect in many ways. And I'll give it a 9.4.
Okay. So after rewatching while we were sleeping, I settled on like an 8.9 for myself. And then I think it happened Fifth Ave. I don't think I'll rewatch it. I mean, I think, like I said, it was pleasant. I liked it. I thought it was funny. Like an 8.7. Not that much difference in terms of. I think they're both pleasant to watch. They're both nice. Like they would be nice movies to play in the background during the holidays. Like I think they're both fine for that.
So it's funny, right? How we have such varying, divergent views on two holiday movies. So if you think you're more like me, Juniper, you know which one to pick. If you had to choose between the two, I'm not saying you should. You could watch all the movies under the sky, and you should if you have time. And if you're more like Elle, I guess you would favor While You Were Sleeping. It's in color too, instead of black and white. All right, that wraps it up for our second annual Holiday Movies podcast. Until next time, bye.
Bye.